Okay, so welcome everybody to another Sunday evening training. Hope you guys have had a phenomenal week. Hope you guys are excited about the week ahead. What would you say is one of the biggest reasons that somebody does not get started in isogenics? What would you say is one of the biggest reasons that someone does not get started in isogenics? Everyone's saying the same thing. Money, cost, what else? Self-doubt, resistance, fear. Timing, what would you say is one of the biggest reasons that someone does not get started in isogenics? They don't value themselves, not enough knowledge. They're asking for their partner. They're not committed. They don't want to use shakes. Okay. And while all of those are decent answers, none of those are the real answer. One of the biggest reasons that people don't get started with isogenics is because most isogenics associates don't put in the required amount of follow-up to help someone get started. That's reality. Things like money, things like knowledge, things like self-doubt, all of those are additional superficial objections. And through time and through the overcoming of those objections, through follow-up, that's when people are likely to get started. So I just want to read some statistics to you when it comes to sales in general, okay? And you are doing sales. This is a sales process. There's no reason to be ashamed of that. Okay. Here's a big one. And this means you guys. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. Just type in the chat box. How many of you have had people that you've spoken with maybe once about isogenics, they said no, and you have not followed up with them? Just type in the chat box. Now, I know that I've done that. In my career, I'm very for sure, I've absolutely not followed up with people. I've talked to them once, they've said no, and I've just tossed them to the wind. Gone. I know that that's something I did in my career earlier. Okay. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and then stop. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and then stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and then stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and then stop. Only 10%, so 1 out of every 10 of you, only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Now listen to this. 2%, only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Only 2%. So that means you got to speak, if you speak to 100 people and only speak to them 1 time, only 2% of them, only 2 of them are going to get started. Seems like a lot of effort for very little return. 3% of sales, only 3% of sales are made on the second contact. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. 10% of sales are made on the 4th contact. So if you have spoken with 100 people and you follow up 4 times, only 10 of them will get started. Now get this, listen to this. 80% of all sales, 80% of all sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. 80% are all made on the 5th to 12th contact. Typically speaking, in network marketing, in my career of doing this almost 13 years now, this is my 13th year, I started when I was 24, I've seen these numbers play out to be true. And typically speaking, someone requires anywhere from 5 to 17 exposures before they'll say yes. Now, what are the reasons that you are not following up more than, because what are the reasons that 50% of you never follow up? What are the reasons? Or that 25% of you only follow up twice? What would be the reasons what are your reasons, right? So you don't want to seem annoying or pestering them. Okay, Michelle says you don't want to feel like you're bothering them, a poor follow-up system, rejection, a poor system, right? Don't want to annoy anyone. You're lazy. Thank you for admitting that, Katie. That's a big one, right? Okay. Okay. So let's first do this. Let's first talk about your follow-up system. Let's talk about that. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, a master when it comes to organization and management. I have a very specific system that I use that I would never think to teach you guys, because it's something that I've developed over the last 20 some odd years, and it's not duplicable. So it's not something I want to try and teach you at all, because I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's crazy. Now, that being said, there are very simple follow-up systems. I know Michelle just did a training on how she uses Excel spreadsheets, okay? Sydney uses a software called Asana, where she's posted a couple of videos of how she uses that. Some people like to just use a yellow pad and, some big lists that they make. So whatever is going to work for you, whatever's going to work for you from a follow-up tracking perspective, that's up to you. That's fine. But find something that works. But most importantly, commit to follow-up. Okay. Now, in terms of being annoying or pestering somebody, it's true. You could come across as annoying and pestering someone if the way in which you're following up is annoying and pestering. If the only reason you're following up with somebody is because there's free membership, for example, that's annoying. That's just annoying. It's just annoying. If the only reason you're following up is because you want to double a PIB, that's annoying. You're going to be pestering people. If the only reason you're following up is so that you can rake advance or you can hit the crystal reset or whatever it is, you're right. That's going to be annoying. You're going to be pestering people. And why is that? Why do I say that if you're doing it with those reasons, why would I say that if you're doing it for those reasons, it would come across as annoying and pestering? That's right, because it's about you and you're doing it for yourself and it's completely selfish. So that's the big part of it, okay? That's the biggest part of it. Step one is recognizing why you're following up with somebody in the first place. And if it's solely to help you achieve a goal, then yeah, it's gonna come across as pushy, pressurizing, pestering, annoying, selfish. It's gonna come across as all those things. However, if you follow up from a place of value, and if you follow up from a place of genuine concern, and if you follow up from a place of having really paid attention to the real reasons why they want to do this, and if you follow up from a perspective of kind of holding them accountable to some of the things that they said that they want, or you follow up with them from a space of honoring the timing in their life, not being right when you first spoke, now you're coming from a place of value. What I know for sure, exactly, Lucia. What I know for sure is that when you follow up from a space of giving and you follow up from a space of genuinely being interested in what's going on in people's lives, and you follow up at times in a way that's not that serious, and you follow up in ways that have sometimes nothing to do with isogenics and everything to do with their lives and what's going on, people are more apt to want to pay attention to you. So that's a big part of it. The other part of why follow-up is so important and why these statistics ring true in terms of 80% all happening between numbers 5 through 12 is it's not just that it takes multiple exposures for most people before they make a decision to say yes to anything. It's not just that. It's that you forget that people are busy. People are busy. And as much as we want to think that we made this incredible lasting impression on people in our very first phone call, for the most part, the way human psychology works, the way the world works today, especially with how inundated we are with, notifications everywhere, essentially, as soon as that first discovery call happens, guys, and it's over, They forget everything that they saw in the videos, and they essentially forget everything that happened on the phone call. Think about it. Most of you, and this isn't a bad thing, it's not a judgment, it's not a criticism. Most of you are going to wake up tomorrow morning, and for the most part, you're going to forget a significant percentage of this training call alone. And it's not that it's not because it's not that it's not important to you that you forget it. It's just that you get so caught up. Your alarm clock goes off in the morning, and all of a sudden, got to get to the job on time, got to take care of the kids, got to get the car washed, got to do this, got to get ready, got to pack, got to move, whatever it is. And life starts to happen. And so what if you looked at follow-up? What if you looked at follow-up as a necessary thing for their benefit, to keep them checked in, to keep reminding them of why you first spoke, to continue educating them on what's possible in their lives? Would it feel annoying then, do you think? And then the other thing is this. I just want you to imagine for a second, I want you to consider for a second, actually type in the chat box, what are some of the results that you guys have gotten in your lives because of Isagenix so far? Just type in the chat box, health, money, whatever. Type, what are some of the results you guys have gotten because of Isagenix? Just type in the chat box. Michelle got a brand new house. That's pretty good. Okay, what else? Friends, 2.5 stones of weight loss, confidence, no more acne. That's incredible. Weight loss, health, confidence, health, energy. Lost 15 kilos. That's amazing, right? What else? What are some of the other benefits? Health, weight loss, most energy you've ever had in your life. Paid off credit card debt, left the NHS, peace of mind, right? Being able to be home with your son, met some great friends, you're happier as a person, you're growing, okay, you're glowing. Yep, we call it the Isoglow. Okay, sweet. Got married, okay? I want you to imagine that the person who shared Isagenix with you originally never shared it with you. I want you to imagine everything that you just wrote on that box, wrote in the chat box. And I want you to take yourself back, whether it was 90 days ago that you started, 9 months ago that you started, 2 years ago that you started. And I just want you to imagine that the person that helped you get started with Isagenix never shared Isagenix with you, or never followed up with you about Isagenix. And I want you to consider where your life would be today, 2 months down the road, having never heard about Isagenix, 5 months down the road, whatever it is. Just think about it. Just take a minute and really consider for a moment where your life would be had you not received Isagenix. Because here's what I can tell you. For someone that says they've lost 15 kilos, right, or they've lost 2 stones, or whatever it may be, in whatever time period, chances are that in that same time period, had you not got introduced to Isagenix, what would have happened? What would have likely happened? Would you have probably gained more weight? Statistics say yes. Would you be more miserable in your job? Statistics say yes. Would you be in greater amount of debt? Statistics say yes. Would you be in the same bad relationships that you didn't want to be in before? Say yes. Would you be spending on money things you don't want to spend money on? Statistics say it'll get worse. So every time that you get hesitant about following up with somebody to get to that magical 5 to 12 range, every time, just stop and ask yourself the question, wow, what if Emma hadn't followed up with me? What if Tommy hadn't followed up with me? What if Judy hadn't? What if Michelle hadn't? What if anybody hadn't? Where would my life be today? That's what follow-up's about. That's it. That's all follow-up is. All following up is think about it. You're following up on a conversation that you already had with somebody based on an interest that they expressed to you. Why wouldn't you follow up with them? Why wouldn't you offer them that service? Look at that. Emma followed up with you for 5 months. Now, let's really put this in perspective. If not for follow-up, none of us would be here right now. I'm gonna say it again. If not for follow-up, none of us would be here right now. The story of Isagenix goes that when John Anderson discovered these products and knew he had to bring them to market, and he knew that Jim and Kathy Coover were the people to help him bring it to market, does anyone know how many times John called the Coover house before they even answered the phone? Does anyone know? Anyone have any idea? That's a great guess, Lucia. 21 times. 21 times John Anderson called Jim and Kathy Coover. So what if John gave up after the first phone call 17 years ago? Think about the hundreds of thousands, if not a couple million, of lives at this point that wouldn't have been impacted. 21 times. 21 times. This company exists. These products exist. This opportunity exists. Your lives are being impacted because of a commitment to follow-up, because of a commitment to persistent and consistent action, because of John's commitment to finding a way to provide value to Jim and Kathy to get them to come out of retirement. You not following up says more about you than it does about the person who said no. And oftentimes, I see it a lot. I see it too often. I see that somebody says no because of the money, or they say no because they want to talk to their spouse, blah, blah, and then you guys just make the decision and think, all right, well, they're just not who I'm looking for. What? Does anyone know how long I said no to Isagenix for before I started building Isagenix? Anybody know? 6 years. He's right. He knows the story. 6 years. Let me ask you guys a question. Now, 6 years it took me before I said yes to Isagenix. 6 years. And within 4 months of Eden and I coming in, we helped to max out a business center that had already been in business for 11 years. And we maxed out a business center for somebody. Would you wait 6 years for Eden and I? Most people wouldn't. Most people wouldn't. You say yes now, but there are Eden and Zachs in your life. There are Jim and Kathy Coover in your life. There are people in your life. There are epic partners waiting for you to join your team, but you're not following up with them. Michael Klaus, #1 income earner in the company. Warren Lance followed up with Michael Klaus for 7 years. 7 years before he joined Isagenix. Mike Klaus now has an organization of over 200,000 people. Do you think Warren Lance is excited and grateful that he continued to follow up with Michael Klaus? The #1 income earner in the company right now. 7 years of follow-up. 7 years. And here's where some of you are going to experience the greatest amount of pain in your build because it's such a new market out there in Europe and the UK. Here's where you're going to experience pain. I promise it's going to happen. Some of you, statistically, it's going to happen. No matter what I say, statistically, this is going to happen. Europe and UK are growing. We are growing. That's right, Michelle. The people that you have not followed up with, you're going to walk into an event one day, and guess who's going to be there? And you're going to get mad. You're going to get mad. And you're going to say, oh, that's not right of the other associate to have enrolled them, or why didn't they, they should have signed up with me, or blah, blah, blah. And you're going to get pissed off. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to raise your hand. And you're not going to say, you know what? It's on me. I never followed up with them. Or you could take responsibility for your business. You could take responsibility for part of the process. You can be focused on serving people. You can be focused on bringing value to their lives. You can be focused on just kind of monitoring the timing. You can be focused on following up with them. and then see what comes from that. It's totally up to you. And you can follow up in fun ways. It doesn't always have to be serious. Here's a way I followed up the other day. Give you an example. I am very good friends with a guy who's a top income earner at another company. He left one company, went to a different company. We're good friends. We talk a lot, right? We're homies. The last company that he was at, the chief science officer for that company was Dr. Joshua Plant, who's our new chief science officer at Isogenics. He is world renowned. He's a world-class formulator. So as soon as my friend Brandon heard about Dr. Plant coming to Isogenics, he sent me a text message and said, hey man, congratulations. Dr. Plant is awesome. I'm really happy for you guys. You guys got a real winner. Great. Guess where I was last week? I was in the Bahamas. Guess who was there? Josh Plant, Dr. Josh Plant. What did I do? I took a selfie with Dr. Josh Plant, and they're friends. They're friends. They've known each other a lot for 8 or 9 years. I took a photo with Josh Plant, just a selfie, and all I texted to my friend Brandon was, we wish you were here. We wish you were here. That's it. That's all I wrote back. And what did he write back? Love you guys. Looks awesome. Is he going to get started because of that photo? Join our team? Move his team over because of that photo? No, probably not. But is it a touch? Yes. Is it personal? Yes. Is it fun and lighthearted? Yes. Is he going to say, stop texting me, please don't ever talk to me about Isogenics again because of that? Of course not. Was it, hey man, there's free enrollment and Dr. Josh Plant is here? No. It was just a sincere, hey, you and Josh Plant are friends. Josh and I are going to become friends. You and I are friends. Sincerely, authentically, how cool would it be, man? Wish you were here. And that's the game. That's the game. And the big reason that you don't follow up as much as you could, beyond thinking that you might be annoying, beyond all of that, is because you think that the reason they said no the first time has to do with you. And you take that personally, and you make it about you, and you attach to their one decision. And because you attach to their one decision, guess what you start to do? You start to make decisions about their life for them. And how arrogant of us to think that we should know what's best for someone else's life, other than to continue to provide a service of potentiality. That's it. You're providing a service of potentiality. And if you don't stay in contact with people, someone else will. And what's even more painful, it's worse than someone not, I think even worse, what's even worse is you're going to see people pay attention to what you're doing on social media, and you're not going to run into them in an Isogenics event, but you know what you're going to see? You're going to see them posting about how they just joined in a different company. And that's even worse. That's even worse. That's just like, boom, knife to the heart. It's the worst. There's nothing worse. And you know what they're going to say to you? They're going to say, oh my God, yeah, I just kind of was following what you're doing, and I just got really inspired by network marketing. I didn't know what I didn't know, but I'm so happy I found my way here. And it's because you didn't follow up. It's because you didn't follow up. Eventually, people are going to join. It's not if, it's when. Just look at the statistics on the home-based business projections. Just look at the numbers when it comes to network marketing. Just look at the side hustle economy that we talk about all the time. The data doesn't lie. Documentation always beats conversation. Documentation always beats conversation. So you can fool yourself into thinking that you're not following up persistently for a variety of reasons. And you can give me every reason in the book, but I'm not going to buy any of them. Why? Because I used to do all of them. I wrote the book on excuses in this business, guys. I wrote the book. There's nothing that any of you can tell me from a why you're not doing something perspective that I haven't already done. It's the same thing when it comes to following the system. I spent years believing that my way was better than everybody else's. And guess how much money I made doing things my way? And guess how big the pain was? And then one day I decided, hey, maybe, just maybe, all the guys that wrote these books, all the guys that mentor me, all the women that I look up to, maybe, just maybe, if I trust their process, and I don't think that I know how to do everything on my own, maybe, just maybe, maybe I'll get the same results. And what's happened? I'm sure it's a coincidence. I'm certain it's a coincidence. But success leaves clues, guys. Success leaves clues. It leaves these little amazing handprints and footprints on the pathway to where you want to go. And for whatever reason, we see them and we go, oh no, that must not be the path. I'm just going to go this way over here. And then what do? You message your partner, you message your sponsor. It's not working. Nobody wants to get started. Everyone says it's too expensive, blah, 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 blah. And yet the numbers say, well, if you just, have you tried following the system consistently for 90 days? Have you tried following up with people consistently 5 to 12 times? Like consistently, have you actually like consistently done that? No. Okay, what might happen if you did? What might happen if you guys made the decision to do this in a real way? Can anyone tell me, this is very simple. Can anyone tell me what the difference is between amateurs and professionals? Does anyone know the difference between what separates an amateur from a professional? Anyone? It's not consistency, not belief, not experience, not the hours. No, none of those. There it is. Sigrid basically said it. The difference between the amateurs and professionals, here's what separates amateurs and professionals in anything, in sports, business, whatever. Professionals get paid. Professionals get paid. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. And the reason professionals get paid is because they do the things over and over and over again that amateurs aren't willing to do. Professionals get paid because they're willing to do the same things over and over again that amateurs and posers will try once, say it didn't work. Amateurs wake up after 3 days and think they should be millionaires. Amateurs think that they should be just as far along being brand new as somebody who's been doing this for 10 years. That's what amateurs do. But professionals commit to the business. Professionals follow systems. Professionals are day in and day out. Professionals follow up, and they follow up like pros. And to become a professional so that you can get paid, you've got to be willing to learn the skill of follow-up. And if you're not sure how to follow up, just ask. Post in the group. Hey guys, here's my prospect. Here's what the objections were. It's been a couple of weeks. What do you recommend? And mastermind this thing. Follow-up doesn't have to be hard. But your business will be hard and your business will suffer if you don't follow up. It's very simple. It's very simple. To this day, we have people that will join us after 5, 6 years. I ran into a guy, I'm going to go 1 minute over. I ran into a guy in the Bahamas. He happened to be in the Bahamas for a different event, not for network marketing, for something else. And I was at breakfast on the last day and I did a double take. I was like, oh my God. And guess what? He was one of the very first people that I spoke with about isogenics. Very first. And he said no. And I followed up with him for about 3 years. Can you imagine the size of an organization he'd be sitting on top of if he had said yes in the beginning? But I stopped after about 3 years. I did. But guess what? He was there. He was in the Bahamas. So what does that mean for me? He's back on the list. He's back on the list. We're going to talk next week. Keep following up. Keep following up. There's an old saying, you follow up until they buy or they die. Very simple. Follow up until they buy or die. Not in a way that's pestering, not in a way that's annoying, not in a way that's self-serving, not because there's some sort of a free promotion, but following up because you know that had someone not followed up with you or not shared with you in the first place or not been patient with you in the first place or not helped you overcome your objections in the first place, had somebody not done that with you, you understand the gravity of the situation where your life would be had they not had the courage. Had they not had the courage to get rejected an extra 4 times, maybe an extra 7 times, maybe 11 more times before you said yes on time number 12. Or, like in the case of John Anderson, case number 21. Just imagine, anytime you're suffering, anytime you're not sure, just take yourself back Where would I be had someone not followed up with me? Have a great evening, guys, and have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. We love you.